Hello, I'm Stuart McMc, Executive Producer and Managing Director here at Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. This is I Didn't Mean It Like That, the show full of bloopers, Freudian slips, misspeaking, ridiculous anecdotes, and random nonsense. Enjoy the carnage.
If anyone knows how to play the old Microsoft DOS games on Windows 10, please tell me. I grew up in a period when the shareware DOS games were very popular, and it was very easy to get access to a variety of games. Even though this was before the internet, the fact that the shareware editions and the demo copies were very mass distributed meant that it was very easy to get your hands on all sorts of games, even though they were only the first few levels. And I remember my childhood just being filled with those types of games. Maps Rescue, Word Rescue, Arkanoid, and it would be so good to be able to get the chance of replaying those games somehow, actually getting copies of those games again and playing them again, because they have such fond memories in my heart, and I would just like to experience them again. In my household, in my family, when I was growing up in primary school, we didn't have pocket money or anything like that. Instead, we had a system in place where my parents would simply give me or my brother money per our request. So if there was a special event happening, like a day excursion or a party or something like that, then they would simply give me the money that I wanted so that I could participate in the event and buy the present or buy the movie ticket or whatever it was. There was a brief period when I must have been influenced by one of my peers in primary school when they talked about how they got pocket money, and so I thought, well, why don't I do that as well? So I asked Mum and Dad to be put on a pocket money system where they would give me $1 a week. Didn't misbehave and cleaned up after myself and didn't do anything silly like mess up the house or get in big trouble. The system only lasted for maybe 6 months, maybe a bit longer, but within that period the system kind of fell apart, because instead of saving up the money to spend on a special occasion for my own use, like a birthday party or going to the movies or something like that, I immediately thought about spending it on my family. So at a certain point I had saved up enough money, and so me and my brother rode our bikes down to the local bakery and we bought a couple of cakes, and then we rode our bikes back home and gave them to our parents so that we could all enjoy it together. And so the first actual thing that I ever spent my own discretionary money on was a present not for myself but for the whole family. That's sort of how I felt about the whole pocket money situation, that I wasn't really earning the money directly for my own selfish reasons, but I was like being rewarded for being able to contribute to the family in a responsible and serious and mature way. And so it made sense to reward my family for their willingness to give me pocket money by buying them a cake and offering it to share it with them. Then the pocket money system fell apart. It fell apart for a couple of reasons. One, it was just too difficult from an accounting perspective to manage because no one could remember who owed who. And second of all, the system of just giving people money as per their request when they needed it was just so much simpler and easier to manage. And thirdly, because me and my brother were getting older, we had our own official money accounts which we would soon have access to, and so it made sense that we would just have independent sources of money regardless of what we did during the week, regardless of whether we could actually earn it or earn any extra money. And so the pocket money system fell apart. It was a very brief flash in the pan, and during the time that it did exist, I spent more on my family than I did on myself. I remember as a young child being absolutely fascinated by the physical sensation and texture of books. I remember going into my parents' study, picking a random book off the bookshelf, feeling the firmness of the hardback cover, flicking through the books, feeling the paper swish past my finger as I went through the pages. I never read the books. I have no idea what those books even were about. I probably never will, because those books are long gone today. So I remember, before I even became interested in the content of books, it was the physical, tactile sensuousness of the book which first fascinated me. When I was young, in primary school, aged 7, 8 or 9, I was hanging out at my friend Shane's house, who lived a short walk away from my house. In fact, his property was linked to my own street. Even though his address was a different street, you could get to his house through my street. His family had a very large property, and there was enough space for him to do outdoor activities like water fights and things like that. And Shane loved billy carts. He loved making them, he loved racing them, and so he had a special place in the backyard just for billy carts. Now, I was unfamiliar with billy carts, how they meant to work, but I had plenty of cartoons and imagination to work on exactly how they meant to work. And so I imagined in my head a system in which, at a moment's notice, you could get into the billy cart, where you were in the cubby house, you heard, the emergency beacon, or the call for help, so you grabbed hold of the swing, you swung over a large plane. As you completed the swing arc, you would drop into the billy cart, and you would instantly be ready to drive. That was the thought that went through my head. So I tried it out. I got into Shane's cubby house, I grabbed hold of the swing, and I placed his billy cart where I thought the finish of the swing's arc would meet, so that I could immediately let go of the swing and drop down into the billy cart. Well, that isn't what happened. Instead, I crashed, basically head first, into the billy cart. I remember the moment after I hit the billy cart, I was screaming in a lot of pain. It was very unpleasant, and I never tried to do something like that ever again. Let me sing you the song of my people. Let me tell you the tale of the town. Let me show you the paintings of my family. Let me reveal to you the secrets of my God.
Welcome back. Did you enjoy your little trip into that weird and disturbing world? This has been I Didn't Mean It Like That on Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. I'm Stuart McMc. Until next time, stay safe, be kind to those around you, and be very careful before you open your mouth.